Welcome back to the World Championship Series. The crowd is hyped for this next match. Of course, we do have a German player playing. Before we look at that, welcome back to the Desk here, Pig. I hope you've been having fun so far today. I know that you always have fun here at the World Championship Series.
Of course, I'm always happy around StarCraft, but I was actually really happy with that series. You know, I thought it would be a bit more decisive than it was, and Neeb kind of kept on impressing me there. I think Lilbo had to really work for that one, hey.
Can we just go to the predictions real quick? Who predicted what again?
Yeah, that's, you both predicted the eventual winner, but more precisely, the map score did go in favor of the resident expert. That's what you're here for.
Yeah, I guess so.
2-1, it was excellently picked up. You did say you'd take a map.
Yeah, I mean...
What did you hunch that on? What like, just because it's PvP, or that you felt that Neeb was good enough to take a map?
I feel like Neeb was definitely good enough to take a map, but because Lilbo's a very aggressive player, it's only going to work so many times. And as we could see in game number 2, it didn't work. Where even though he wasn't aggressive off the get-go, actually that was Neeb, in fact. So they kind of switched roles a little bit. But I just felt like, I don't know, it's one of those things. I felt like Neeb had it in him.
Well, 100% record so far, mate.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
So hopefully continue through. We'll see how far it goes, because I don't know, I've been on this desk a lot of times and no one's really had a 100% record for more than 2 games.
It's day 1, it's match 1, but I'll take it.
Let's check in with the brackets, see exactly where we are here in the Premier League. Of course, you've completed map number 1, and it was Lilbo who goes through towards the winners match. We'll be playing against the next player, either Shana or GunGFuBanDa, the winner of that. And of course, double elimination. The losers get their second shot down in the lower bracket and will be competing there. That will be our 3rd game, by the way, the lower bracket, and the winners match will be our 4th. And then the decider one being the 5th. Let's talk a little bit about this upcoming match then. We have Shana versus GunGFuBanDa. How are we looking at this? Because no one really knows what to expect from Shana. There's been a bit of whispers, and I know you've been doing a bit of research on this too.
Well, of course, you know, we have a bit of a distance between the Chinese scene and the English-speaking scene, but I was speaking to a few people in the Chinese community, and they were telling me quite a bit about Shana. They were saying, you know, this is a guy who's renowned as being a really smart young guy. He's actually won quite a few Hearthstone tournaments and a few tournaments in other games as well, and he's kind of seen as this young genius. He used to play Zerg originally, then he played, of course, Protoss for a while, now he plays Terran, so he's kind of one of these guys who's very intelligent, and he really understands the game, and after studying a few of his VODs, it's definitely something where you can see he has very unique positional play. It's a really different way of playing Terran, so I think he's the interesting new player that we're seeing here.
Is he the underdog in the series before we talk more about these players individually?
After last season, where, you know, GunGFu came through in the season finals, took out 4GG, had a great run in the round of 32. I think definitely Shana he's that underdog, but he does have a reputation in the Chinese scene as being very good against his former race, you know, against the Protoss players. So I think it's a little bit up in the air, but looking at what we've seen in WCS, what we know GunGFuBanDa is probably the more solid player.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the German, the 17-year-old GunGFuBanDa. He's a talent. I mean, he broke through last season, doing very, very, very well, making himself a player at the season finals. What about him that stands out the most? You've played with him, you've been at the Home Story Cups. What is it about him as a player, as a person, that kind of stands out for you?
I feel like he's come so far. Obviously, he couldn't play in season 1. He got disqualified for various reasons. But before that, I actually seen him play at Fragbite Masters in Sweden a year ago or so now. And he didn't actually expect to do too well. He even booked his flight back a little bit early because he was expecting to go home early. Little did he know, he actually made the final, and he went toe-to-toe with MMA out of all people. Like, if anyone can go toe-to-toe with MMA, you've got to be feeling good about your PVT matchup. But he actually went toe-to-toe with him. He went all the way. It went all the way to game 7. Unfortunately, he did lose. But since then, he's improved miles. Like, he's improved a big amount. And I feel like he's such a solid player now, in his PvP especially, but in all of his matchups. So
yeah, he's you know, come to the top of the German scene. He's starting to rival that there, as everyone's kind of looking at Hero Marine to be that number 1, and now GunGFuBanDa's there challenging each national championship that comes around the corner. But, you know, looking at these two, we will, players, I think you may have seen them just walking around still doing the map vetoes. We'll get to that very shortly. Shana, let's go back to him for a second here. Is he just going to be like, you know what, I'm in Europe, man. I've made it. I'm 18 years old. I've come over here. I've got this opportunity to show off what I'm really capable of. Is he must be just going for it, just going crazy for today.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's got a great opportunity. I mean, when you come over here, it's similar to playing in my corner of the world, Australia, Southeast Asia. It's when you live in this isolated scene, you don't get many opportunities to compete on this sort of stage, and suddenly you get, there's 3 chances a year. This is the last one for this entire year. You get to come here, play at WCS, and if you make it through, then you can also go to Poland in just about 2 weeks' time. Yeah. You get to go to the season finals. It's such a huge opportunity. Like, if you can win here, it's going to mean a lot to him.
All right, well, GunGFuBanDa's just pop into the little boys' room. We'll talk about more and have a look at his stats in a little bit here. As a whole, as a group here, you pointed out earlier for people just tuning in now that Lilbo, obviously a big contender to advance through, but you both pointed out, well, you so more so, that GunGFuBanDa was the favorite for you today. And surely if he's the favorite for you today, he's the absolute favorite for this match.
I feel like he is. Like I said before, he's improved a big amount in the past year or so. And PVT, he went toe-to-toe with MMA. Like, that's not an easy feat. He'd done that. And I've played against him a lot on ladder. And his PvP is just incredible. I can't beat him. I don't know how, but I don't know how to do it. He just wins all the time. He's pretty much indestructible. So I feel like if he wins this series and goes up against Lilbo, I think he's actually in the driving seat.
All right, well, let's take a look at the maps then, because the maps have been done now. Players are just finalizing the last couple of things before they're ready. It'll appear on your screen in front of you in a couple of seconds here, gentlemen. It's going to be a best of 3. Players do have a couple of vetoes each, and then, of course, the regular selected maps are as following: Coda, Iron Fortress, and Terraform there. What stands out for you, Sam, straight away?
Iron Fortress. I think it's just a terrible map. I think
what's
for Protoss specifically?
I think Protoss need a third base. They need a third base in every matchup, and I think on this map in particular, it's difficult to do. I think this map leads towards a lot more all-ins, and that's definitely in GunGFuBanDa's playbook and play style.
Yeah.
It can definitely come out, but I don't necessarily think he'll want to bring it out against a player that he feels favored against. So.
Well, surely this means that map number 1 is a massive game then for GunGFuBanDa. I mean, if he loses map number 1 and then goes to a map which is difficult for Protoss, as you've just said.
Exactly, and Coda isn't such an easy feat either. The third base away from your main base is kind of, a long distance. So defending the 2, and I'm pretty sure Shana's playstyle is an aggressive playstyle. He likes the doom drops. Right. He likes to play aggressive. So. Well,
here is GunGFuBanDa here, Sam. 3-0, easy win in Challenger from this time against DNS. Doesn't have the most of high numbers to his stats and wins and losses because he has only recently started to compete within the Premier League. But this player is definitely someone who's making a lot of moves in the scene recently. No doubt, Pig. We've talked a little bit about this already, but we can hit this home multiple times.
He's on the rise. He really is. I remember first, finding out about him probably about a year and a half ago when he was seen as this young up-and-coming player, really kind of on the ladder, taking names and, having rivalries with other players and all that sort of thing. But it was, like Sam was saying, at the end of last year, he broke out at Fragbite. He had this amazing run. And I think last season, he's finally started to pull it all together. We're seeing, his PvP is great, but his other matchups are coming together as well. And I think looking here at PvT, it's this matchup where he is a big wild card. He does a lot of aggressive strategies, and that's why I kind of almost want to come back to the maps and think like Iron Fortress, like we're saying, it's not great for Protoss, but he's clearly got a plan for it. Maybe it's something to do with there being no ramp at the natural. He's definitely got a way of playing it, which he's confident in. So I'm really just like so curious to get into this game and actually see what his plan is. It's going to be really odd, yeah.
Well, let's take a look at Shana then, because you're almost ready for this now. Shana, 18 years old, actually joins us to the WCS through the GPL. For anyone who doesn't know, it's the Golden Professional League, which feeds in to the World Championship Series there. If you play in the quarterfinals, that is basically your challenger matches to get in to the World Championship Series. And he won his match 3-0 versus Mystery, and it was on stage, it was in front of a lot of people, and he manages to get the ticket to come to Cologne, Germany this time. Usually the Chinese players play in America, but he's in Europe. And as you can see, he's only ever played one game this year. Overall, he's played a little bit within the World Championship Series, but not a lot.
Of course, those stats were when he was playing Protoss as well previously, so kind of hard to read into them. It's definitely, he's one of these guys who's very new to us here, but he's been established in the Chinese scene for a while, not as one of their tip-top, most regular kind of Jim or Maxed or Tudming level performers, but he's one of these guys who always comes out with these very creative, interesting strategies. And if you look at his recent games in TvP, he's not necessarily this Maru style, he can run in 5 different directions, microing everything, but the way he moves his army around, he's very, very strong at out-positioning Protoss and never letting them push across the map. He's always waiting the moment they're out of position to doom drop where they aren't. He has spectacular map awareness.
So if doom drops is going to be the way that we're expecting him to play potentially, or at least expecting a lot of Terrans to play, what's the best way to play against that? Is it just observers in position, army positioning, expecting this type of play? How do you beat Terran, Sam? Give me an answer in 5 seconds. How to stop Terran?
The way that I've dealt with it best is Phoenix. But you have to practice Phoenix to be able to pull it off. So whether GunGFu's actually practiced that style or not, we don't know.
I mean, we don't even know how much practice GunGFuBanda's putting in this at all, really, do we? For a player that's very well known in terms of what he's capable of on this stage. It's hard to say.
And Shana is very well prepared against those Phoenix styles. It's so popular in China, has been for a long time. So I think GunGFu is definitely a guy who likes his Twilight tech, likes his Robo tech, but really very often you're seeing Blink openings and DT openings. They're GunGFu's strongest point in the early game in PvT. They're what makes him such a volatile and scary opponent is he's going to go for those. He's going to throw in the proxy Stargate once in a while as well. So you're always a little bit afraid of what he's going to throw your direction.
All right, the game is almost ready. Quick predictions here. Let's keep this ball rolling. Are you going to
2-1 for GunGFuBanDa. I think he's got the upper lead, but it's going to be a close one.
And Sam?
I'm going to say 2-0 GunGFu, just because he's got a lot of support here and I don't want to...
We know there's a lot of people upstairs wearing some Planet Key Dynamic shirts. We saw that. We don't want to upset them. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It is time to go to the commentary team for this one. Again, it is, of course, Todd and Claris.
All right, with GunGFuBanDa, the hometown hero, or home country hero, I should say, looking to attain the heights that he found in Season 2 once again. He goes up against a player who is a little bit of a wild card here in Shana, and of all the people he defeated in Challenger, Mystery, one of the craziest Protoss that we've seen here in WCS Premier so far, he's going to be ready for anything.
Yeah, it's interesting actually to see the rotation, in Chinese players that have qualified for WCS. It used to be all about Jim, Maxed, Tudming, these guys, and then eventually Shigwa. And then as of late, we've seen these newer names really come into play. And now I guess this is going to be short here for Shana because we don't really know much, if anything, of him so far. In the European scene or even outside of China.
Very, very little. Does represent X Team, a team that was formed by F91, a gentleman that we saw way, way back when, in 2011, actually competing in StarCraft 2. And X Team and has established themselves across quite a few games now here in esports. But he goes up against GunGFuBanDa, and GunGFuBanDa touted as one of the biggest, favorable positions here in Group E to move on. After what he did in Season 2, after going up against 4GG of all people there in Toronto as his first series, that was quite the impressive result.
I thought for a second you were going to say after he failed this proxy against Jadon.
Oh no, not that bit, not that bit. Let's get into it. It's going to be game number 1 here between GunGFuBanDa and Shana, as we have Coda loaded up and good to go. Spawn to the bottom right-hand corner, we have our blue Protoss representing Planet Key Dynamics. It is GunGFuBanDa. I love his name. I love it.
It's pretty hard to guess these games, though. Let's be honest.
Nah, it's easy peasy. You can do it in my sleep. And up to the top left-hand corner, we have our red Terran representing X Team. It is Shana.
Shana, who goes into this as a complete mystery, no pun intended, like nobody really knows what to expect. Here I feel out of him not too much, to be honest, and I'm guessing like from Terran, imagine he ended up being like a Terran Has or something.
That would be fantastic. I'd be completely fine with that. When Haas was playing his group over in America, I was staying up until the wee hours of the morning, losing my mind, but more about that later, or never. It depends on where the conversation goes. Shana
is actually going for an incredibly quick scout here.
Yeah.
Barracks 12, gas 12 in his base with that quick a scout. Usually you scout way later than this here. I think, as Shana.
GunGFu has already sent a probe himself to spot if anything crazy was going on.
They're both paranoid.
Yeah, it's rare you get to see Chinese Terrans anymore, actually. It's normally out of Protoss or normally only Zerg. But Shana, the last one I can really remember was XY, or however you would pronounce that in Chinese, because normally you don't pronounce
XY.
Really? Okay, well. But we haven't really seen much since him, and now Shana kind of rises up to the task. We'll see how he's going to compete.
He's going to try to be as annoying as possible here. You know what happens when somebody does that against me? I make a pylon behind and lock them in. I then never kill that SCV.
Never kill it? You're like, haha, that one wasted supply. That would be fantastic. But for now, it's just going to be on patrol, block down towards the natural, trying to slow down GunGFuBanDa a little bit.
Yeah, since he scouted this early, he might as well here try and block this for as long as possible. I don't think he wants to go for any bay because right now Shana needs to be starting his second command center, so he's just going to try to slow down that Nexus as much as possible.
There's already a unit moving out into the middle of the field. Oh, the Reaper, okay.
Yeah.
I was a bit confused there.
And behind this, it's a reactor while he continues on mining gas. Yeah, so Shana is going to be going factory pretty quickly behind this.
We'll look to try and find a few probes where it can, but the mothership core being there is totally fine being able to deny that. Did the probe get in once again to spot things? Okay, it did.
Shana might have to come back and clean that up here, otherwise it's going to be really annoying for him to deal with this.
Yeah.
It's a big scout here, by the way, on GunGFuBanDa. Being able to know that there is a factory behind this, he can already start preparing for whatever kind of Widow Mine drop is going to be headed his way. And build up his economy and tech accordingly as well. Fully knowing that he's going to be safe against some kind of, you know, he knows that it's not going to be, for example, a 3 racks, a lot of bio, and then an attack.
Yeah.
So he doesn't need to get that many units. Usually it's going to be like 3 to 4 stalkers, a photon overcharge elsewhere, and just make sure you have detection on time.
Yeah, you're totally right. That was that kind of
Go Stargate,
blindness.
actually.
That kind of blindness from a Protoss was this one thing that kind of kept them in check, right? With how many corners they could cut.
Yeah.
But knowing that that's the case now, knowing that the Terran is going down that path, he'll feel pretty comfortable.
Yeah, Stargate is very interesting here because he was started kind of late, but I think GunGFu, he can get Phoenixes on time to defend against some kind of Widow Mine drop, and even some Oracle if he wants to do some kind of counter harassment after the drop finally happened. So it's going to be interesting to see which he goes for. I think Phoenixes here definitely would be great, but an Oracle is definitely not something bad either.
One thing's for sure, though, Shana is not taking any risks. He's scouting every little angle with that Reaper up towards the top. Hasn't been able to spot the Stargate just yet, but
you have to wonder
jump in.
What's happened to him on the Chinese ladder.
He's been tortured, basically. It's
he played Haz a few times too many.
He's had a hard time, but yeah, he will be taking every precaution against all these. I mean, he's been slammed into a group full of Protoss, so he's going to be coming with his eyes completely open to any kind of possibilities.
And then Oracle, as the first unit here, was the choice for GunGFuBanDa. He's going to fly that across the map to try and do some counter harassment and damage here. And behind his Phoenixes are going to be on the way. Oh, he thought he was a Widow Mine in the main here, GunGFu, so he pulled all of his probes for a second.
No, and that Reaper's just going to get himself 1 or 2 kills, actually. Really
There's
good
nothing
start.
ready for the Oracle.
Does he not have any Marines or anything here?
No, he's actually sending another medivac.
no.
He's Shana across the map to try and do some damage.
He's going to lose so much. He already lost a little bit of that mule energy at the very end there. But he's already lost 6 workers. The 7th's going to go down. Is there nothing in the mineral line at the main base?
In the main, there's a Widow Mine, but I think GunGFu fully knows about that possibility. So
Yeah.
a 3rd command center starts. Okay.
What? And he spots it. And he can deny if he really wants to.
Not enough energy, but there's another Oracle about to come out here.
All right, well, just going to deal with this Hellion to start things off. The Widow Mine just walks itself into
Photon
the mineral
overcharge is
line.
not available. Oh my god.
There's quite a few probes there. 3 actually go down. And these Marines are actually cleaning house at the front.
He needs to pull probes here. GunGFu.
That Phoenix, though, is eventually going to kill off that if he's not careful. He really needs to be able to deny that Phoenix.
Shana could have targeted the Phoenix. Not sure why he didn't, because now Medivac is going to die. But he's still killing so much. Oh my god, what is going on in this game? The Oracle took down the SCV on the 3rd base there, and those Marines are going to get right in there, and Oracle flies in.
Okay, so it should be able to clean up the majority of it.
There's the Widow Line now in the middle line of the natural.
Is this...
Whoa.
Is this real life? Oh my god, 8 workers go down in total.
I thought Shana was in so much trouble.
Yeah.
Of those kills, it's now 30 SCVs to 35 probes.
There's 2 more.
He had
Marines.
force in, man. He's been in that situation before 1,000 times, it seems like. Look at this.
Yeah. He's going to go in with 2 Marines here alone and try and do some damage. He got himself the Oracle.
What the hell is going on? Medivac gonna get chased down here on the right-hand side, but there is already another Medivac on the way with the Widowmine and 4 Marines in it.
He's never going to end. Shana, on balls to the wall aggression.
And he
Let's
starts
go.
the third Nexus, GunGFuBanDa.
He
I
loses
fully
one.
expected gateways to start or something for some kind of attack. The Oracle across the map kills the SCV that was building that third CC again.
And here we go, into the main base again. He doesn't have any kind of detection. Actually, there is vision on that Oracle there. If he can bring it back in time to shut that Widowmine down. But it should be running out soon. Oh, good pickup there from the Phoenix to come back.
Yeah, very important. The Widowmine is going to be killed and the Marines should follow.
Yeah, keep
the Oracle.
preserving.
Woo!
Preserve things. Preserve them. Oh, phew. We'll be able to...
He gets out.
Yeah.
Drops in the natural. What is going on? Oracle's gonna fly again to that third base that's not even being built anymore here.
This game's ridiculous. He's already got himself a few probes down here. The medevac gets sacrificed, and doesn't want to go too far forwards.
I want to see more Europe versus China, man. This is amazing. Oh, the Oracle.
Woo.
Almost flew in range here.
He must have seen that, right?
Oh, yeah, Shana on Burrows.
Okay, so it's... Okay, there's no more energy, so he's going to have to fly on away with
The
that.
obvious burrow at the third command center, but I guess as long as he can cover that and it finishes anyway, Shana's going to be happy.
Yeah.
And we actually go into a regular game from there, really?
42 to 46 workers. RoboBay is on the way. Didn't he start that and then cancel it and then has started again? The RoboBay? I think so, but... Third base is down here, technically, for GunGFuBanDa. He just hasn't been able to populate it at all during all this craziness.
He's going to start transferring probes down there now. And already having a Stargate. It's kind of encouraging to try and maybe go into more Phoenixes, but he's already upgrading from the Forge, so usually you don't. Oh, and that dies, of course. I mean, this game.
Widowmine's going to set itself up towards the third base. Where is this little guy going?
Yeah, because... Right now, Shana didn't see the third base yet, so he's kind of hoping that there's no Nexus there. He doesn't have like the greatest read on the game right now, and he's going to see that third base saturated and probably know that he needs to start on doing some drops and stuff like that.
Well, maybe you could even get some kills here if that's just walked in by itself.
One of the very interesting that Pig mentioned earlier that I think might come into play here is that Shana, he used to play Protoss, so one of the ways he likes to play Terran versus Protoss is that he's going to have a lot of units out on the map, and when he gets attacked, he goes for a huge, massive Doom drop to try and counter.
Trying to push some of this bio back, and they even picked up the Widowmine with that Phoenix to make sure it wasn't going to do any damage itself.
He started kiting very late here, so he actually lost everything before the Medivacs got there.
They weren't there to even heal up or anything, but still more Widowmines are here.
So many of them.
That's a lot. So many kills everywhere.
You just chuckle like...
I don't want
Your
a
commentary is starting to fall apart, man.
No, I don't want a Haas moment to occur, because right now this is getting there. It's getting a little bit crazy. He knows that observer's there. Burrows the Widowmine to kill it off. Couldn't he have just used the 2 Marines? It might have moved away, I suppose.
Medivacs being loaded up all over the place here, and with that Widowmine killed, or rather the observer here, vision-wise, GunGFuBanDa is not in a great place here.
Yeah, definitely limited.
This is actually, oh my god, this could do so much. Double Medivac for the main, double Medivac for the third base. One of those Medivacs actually on the third base only has one single model, but the one in the main.
It's first-person view here for Shana. He's going to be dropping into the main, into the natural as well, trying to burrow that Widowmine or 2 as quickly as possible here. Just use these units as best as he can in the main base. He's actually done a lot of damage to that gateway.
Actually in the third base, his Widowmine hit all of his units here, Shana.
Oh, really?
They took so much damage.
Oh, no.
Pretty much all died instantly.
He's trying to just launch attacks in everywhere. He's actually going on top of a Colossus there, and he couldn't bring it down. Unbelievable. Shana is all over GunGFuBanDa trying to do damage in every single angle.
Wow, I think a lot of people here expected GunGFuBanDa to move on quite easily here to the winner's match and face Lilbo, but right now he's in so much trouble. He's taking damage all over the place. Shana's setting up to drop in the main. Yeah,
Medevac's loaded up again to reinforce the Medevacs that are already at the front. He's just constantly shifting them forwards here. And
at the same time, back at home, Shana's not resting. Look, he's starting second eBay Armory as well. The drop's gonna eat the main here once again. That cannon's gonna die. And from there, the Widowmines, it's gonna be really hard to detect. There is an Oracle, but this could die. The third base under siege as well, and there's no photon of a charge this time around to save it.
His Widowmine did so much damage to him, but it doesn't matter. He's still shutting down all these locations. He's 30 supply up at the moment. His army supply is significantly stronger. If he was able to get one of these Colossi, then that would be fantastic, but it's just pulling out for now.
GunGFuBanDa really struggling here and defending. He finally starts blinking 16 minutes into the game. That's not really usually the time you start blinking.
No, 45 workers have been killed. The medevacs load up again for Shana.
He's relentless. Start 3 barracks as well around his third base. I'm very impressed already by Shana.
Yeah, I like how Pig mentioned it before at the analysis desk that Shana, you know, he likes his aggression. I think that was an understatement. He just never lets up.
Yeah.
He just keeps going.
Yeah, you messed up, Pig. He actually never stops attacking. That's what you needed to say.
Oh, Pig. Oh, no.
Just kidding, of course.
He was on
Pig is
point.
always doing a fantastic job with the research and all that.
Yeah, he was very on point with this, because look at how Shana is actually able to apply himself over towards the third base. Now, this is a strong army from Shana. Even this chunk alone.
Yeah, in the main there is actually enough, I think, for GunGFuBanDa to defend. If he moves there, oh my god, this might be a huge overextension here by Shana.
He's losing a lot in the main base.
Yeah, in the main base, he's going to do absolutely nothing this time around, and GunGFuBanDa eventually, because there was a downtime...
He's going to get cleaned up here as well. GunGFuBanDa's bringing himself back into this game, because Shana, his aggression was over-aggression in the end.
Yeah, GunGFuBanDa this time split perfectly, waited. It was a 50-50 split against a 50-50 split from Shana. So if you're going to be fighting, you're going to be losing everything if the Protoss has enough, which in this case, there was more than enough. Second starport's going to start now.
I love it.
Shana.
I love it that he keeps rallying everything forward constantly.
It's
though.
like a TVZ.
Yeah, he's been doing this for the past 10 minutes and has just not let up at all. I mean, it might come back to bite him now that GunGFuBanDa has stabilized with 4 Colossi across these locations, but I mean, if you've got this game plan and you're going to keep going for it, you may as well if you're Shana.
And this is getting actually to a very scary Colossus count here. We got 4 on the map, a 5th one's on the way. For the amount of Vikings that there are on the map, which is 0, it's actually very scary to keep on attacking like this.
Yeah, and with the way he's doing it, whenever he's sacrificing medevacs, it's not like he can go back to Viking production early or anything, because he needs to have medevacs out, so he's had to replenish those over and over here, as he will be pushed away in the main base. I think he got pushed away at the third base as well.
Yeah. GunGFuBanDa really holding on here. He's getting closer and closer to being able to max out comfortably across 3 bases, which means that from there, usually you take into Storm, you take another base. Templar Archives is going to start now. He's making a Warp Prism. I wonder actually how aggressive he wants to be with this here. But Shana, he's got that 4th base on the way. Still no Ghost Academy, though. And this is very worrying, because with the Templar Archives soon hitting the map, Gravitic Drive is going to be researched here.
Ooh.
So I think GunGFuBanDa, he wants to make sure that he can harass the middle lines of his opponents, or even like start warping in some Zealots in his main to try and maybe force Shana into a bad fight here.
And he feels comfortable with his Colossi count. He's mixing in Immortals now to go up against this.
Oh no, Warp Prism.
Oh.
Gonna be able to make it out.
Doesn't get spotted. Or maybe it did. No. I'm not sure. It was on the very, very verge of actually being spotted there. Cannons are able to support this location, though, at the same time. 2-2 is finished here for Shana, but at the
this Colossus count is insane, and there is nothing to really counter them. The Vikings did die.
Just trying to lure things back onto Widow Mines.
Oh, the Warp Prism is going to be spot. He's going to spot it.
Nice. So at least he
can
can
chase it.
He has a Viking he could leave trailing it, but he still needs the Vikings at the front. He's got 4 in production now at any time, because he does have that second starport.
Shana has way too much gas, by the way. Like, he saturated all of his gases and didn't really pay attention to that. Ghost Academy starts in the main mineral line, which is where the Warp Prism should hit in not too long. Like, if you kill that as GunGFuBanDa and then you have Storms and Archon down on the map, you're going to be in a great position no matter what here.
Brings forwards, gets himself a medevac, maybe a second one as well. It tries to boost away. Will be able to escape out. The 3 Zealots up towards the top aren't going to do much. There is a planetary fortress there. Zealots in the main, though, could start to do something pretty irritating.
Ghost Academy gets spotted now, and GunGFuBanDa is already, I'm guessing, pretty happy to see that this is this late, because he's already on Storm Tech, he's got Archons.
And these 3 Zealots move into the 3rd base location, which is ripe for the picking here at the moment. That's a lot of Zealots already in the main base, and it's drawn Shana's entire army away. So now, this is a great opportunity here for GunGFuBanDa to move into assault mode himself.
Resources lost is actually incredibly equal. 12,000 to 11,700. What a slugfest.
How many Vikings do we have for Shana now? So he's at 13 against 5
Which is not bad.
Colossi.
But they got no upgrades.
Yeah.
He starts the +1 now. That's very, very late. I mean, I can't really blame him. Like, with all that happened, it's been a pretty crazy game.
Yeah, it has. Move on through the middle of the map here. Has been spotted, of course.
Did he steam everything? Only 3 medivacs with no energy. This is not good.
Yeah, every time he stims, it's going to be a bit annoying.
And there is Storm, remember? The first one hits here.
Trying to work on these Vikings. They did manage to pick off the Mothership core, I believe, in that fight. And we'll now see.
Who cares? She already served her purpose. Storm's going to be deadly there, though.
Yeah,
oh, God.
It's got to be so careful about this. Good
Nice
split already. Second split, not too bad.
He's teamed, though.
The whole army is stimmed, you're right. And all this AoE damage is going to do a lot to this Bioforce at the bottom. And there's not really that many Vikings left over, just a few more to actually kill off the Colossi. But this movement on the right-hand side with the Marauders, it's not even enough though. Those Immortals worked in, 4 of them in total. Yeah, they really did a lot. And it was in every single mineral line now.
Yeah, GunGFuBanDa, fully knowing that Shana was going to be looking at the fight there, sent those. And with 13 SCVs being killed here, the economy of Shana has been kind of wrecked. It's down to 40 SCVs to 68 probes. And in quite a bit of trouble because you need a lot of minerals to make these ghosts.
Yeah, at least he got himself his +3/3 finished up, so the eBays aren't exactly as important anymore. But GunGFuBanDa, once again, army supply-wise, looking okay. Army quality, I would say, looking okay as well. How many Colossi did he have? Only 1, but still, he will have Storms available.
A little bit surprised that there was no second Robo made from GunGFuBanDa, but he goes for a Dark Shrine, which on 4 bases is almost never a bad decision, unless you're about to die, which in this case is even ahead. Pretty much in everything, to be honest. In army, in upgrades.
He's gonna have
GunGFuBanDa doing great, taking a 5th base now as well.
He's gonna have 9 ghosts against this, so he could blanket this entire army.
That's his one chance. Take a big fight, EMP everything, make sure he doesn't get stormed, and basically win it right out.
7 Vikings at the moment as well against just the 2 Colossi, and starting another command center. While this 5th base has been spotted down to the bottom left-hand side here for Shana, so GunGFuBanDa's not out of the woods just yet.
Yeah, he's taking it slow though. I think GunGFuBanDa is pretty happy about the fact that he's on high Templar tech and he's going to be able to get a lot of them out. That's usually the point in the game where a lot of Terrans, they feel very uncomfortable playing against Protoss when there's this many high Templars on the map, because scans not necessarily going to always be enough to spot all of them. And all you have to do is, or rather that you don't want to have happen, is get your army hit by 2 or 3 storms and you're going to lose very, very hard as Terran. Is the control going to be good enough, though, from GunGFuBanDa? He needs to be flanking with high Templars if he wants that to happen. Shana, it seems like he wants to slow things down. He just wants to take another base. I'm not sure he actually is planning to attack anytime soon here.
Yeah, and as he does that, I mean, GunGFuBanDa's army quality is just going to increase and soar. These Stalkers at the front, yeah, I mean, they're trying to poke away at stuff, but even if he loses those, he can just... He's adding on double Colossi production at the moment, which... It will be able to steamroll through.
Are we going to see Tempest? Actually, with the gas that Shana had earlier, I thought he might maybe like crazily go into Ravens if you really wanted to go to the super late game, but usually you only do that if you want to get battle cruisers and you know you're facing Tempest. We're not quite there yet. He's actually moving out.
And he's very broke right now as well. So, yeah, he has a great army, or a sizable army.
Yeah.
But he's still got to be careful about it, because we've already mentioned those storms will rip through this.
I'm a little bit worried about the groups of Shana, because he's grouped his entire army together and then the ghosts separate. So that means that his Vikings, they're going to be grouped, I think, with his main army. And that means that when he goes forward, it's going to be very hard for him to poke with just the Vikings. Usually when you do that, you want to take a single engagement and then try to win at once with a lot of EMPs. And against very good Protosses like GunGFuBanDa, they won't allow you to do that, because they will pull back, they will bring in a lot of high Templars from many sides, and they will make sure that they punish you for not using one more control group in this case.
Dark Templar is just going to walk into every mineral line and really cause some problems. He can technically get EMP those if he had some of those back there, just making a huge amount of ghosts now. Let's try and complement this, but...
A Stargate is going down, KLIs. Is it Tempest time? Usually 5 base is the one moment where when you really start thinking about Tempest, especially when you're already maxed out against a Terran that wants to turtle and mass ghosts.
Guess so.
And a lot of cannons are going down as well, so I think GunGFuBanDa, he wants to show us some Tempest here.
All right, well, why on earth not? I mean, in this situation, when he has himself the advantage in the mineral bank up going, and the true bank anyway, Ghosts aren't going to do much against Tempest if that comes to blow for blow.
Maybe he wants to prove a point after a few years back. I beat him with Tempest in the qualifiers. Hey, we were just talking about this not too long ago.
Yeah?
+1 air weapon is going to start, as well as another War Prism. ghosts are coming in. Against this many cannons, it's really hard to like properly attack. There is High Templar spread out all over the place here for GunGFuBanDa.
And if he moves forwards at all, takes even shots extra from the cannons, it's all little bits of extra damage that are just going to mount up slowly. There's still a lot of EMPs he has, but these pylons to the back will cause him extra economical damage if he's not careful.
Yeah, those DTs are pretty useless at this point. Fleet Beacon's going to start. Usually that's when you add on a bunch of Stargates as well here. It's actually... Oh yeah, he's just got the one. Oh, no, 2 Stargates here already are up. Storm! Oh my god, if he had Storm those Vikings, yeah, actually he will here a little bit. But losing these High Templars is very costly. Like if Shana keeps on doing this and reduces the High Templar down to like 2. Oh, he steamed everything. Oh my god.
Really gonna go for this?
No way.
That was ambitious. At least he has High Templars with energy now that can heal up.
Yeah.
But
There is no bunker on that base, actually, that third base over there of Shana, so he's gonna take quite a bit of damage here from these Zealots.
yep, this army's slightly out of position to be able to deal with that, so may need to come back with a good chunk of it.
Personal cloaking now started, by the way.
All right, well, do we even see nukes eventually? That's the big question here from
Quite
Shana.
possible. Like if usually there is when you go into this kind of game as Protoss, you need to have a lot of cannons, and if you clump them up together, the Terran should always go for nukes because it can be so worth it. The thing is, if there are already Tempests down on the map, it's going to be pretty hard to make work. And GunGFuBanDa, I think he wants to lose some of his supply, especially in Zealots, and start replacing it with Tempest.
And he's already got another Stargate here, so
That PF
going
is
off
dead.
his PF, limiting some of the income.
Storm.
Not too bad. Unless they did a lot of damage to those Vikings
Oh,
at the
some
front.
feedback hits and kill a bunch of these ghosts here.
Needs to move on back momentarily.
2 ghosts already died here in this game.
All right, gonna replenish a few more though. He's got 16 at the moment. He's gonna have 20 very soon.
Shana's economy got demolished here. Look at this. He's not even maxed out anymore. He has no bank. Behind this, we have GunGFuBanDa with his economy completely untouched.
He's barely mining minerals. He's got 22 workers at the moment, and this is really the location that's quite pivotal. All the Zealots being choked up there for GunGFuBanDa, he would be wise to move them elsewhere.
He's going to go into that third base once again, which is going to be very annoying. Shana's getting desperate. He doesn't even want to go back and defend that third base. He's moving in position here to try and maybe fight DTs being sent in for vision. That's very smart. Because usually you won't really scan on top of your army like this. You're Shana, you're trying to scan where you think the Protoss army is. Actually, he does just now. But DT was in there.
Shana's not sending anything home to clean this up, so it looks like this is really do or die for him with this army.
Here we go. Oh, the army of GunGFuBanDa being all together means that these ghosts could EMP and snipe everything.
They already got a big EMP off on a lot of the army. They're going to move forwards with personal cloaking. How much they're going to be able to do? I think they've already done a lot there with that army supply, vastly in favor of Shana here at the moment, as all those ghosts once again move forwards, continue to lay down some of these EMPs. Big storm lands.
He dodges the storm. This is a big deal here, pulling back every single time on time. He had so much army supply here in this fight, and he still got 143 against just 93.
Yeah.
GunGFuBanDa is trying to hold on here.
If he keeps landing the EMPs, he could continue to take these fights, but at the same time now
He needs to do some probes and replace that with army.
He's so careful about that. He doesn't want to be losing any more of those ghosts.
Yeah, Shana is really starting to run out of steam quite literally. Those units, he's steamed them so many times. The DT is going to town on his army now.
Storm lands on the Vikings here to try and bring them down, but they do the job that they need to. All the ghosts are going to die off up towards the top. They've actually managed to snipe him out, the Observer, so he doesn't see those ghosts left over at all. And Shana here with a significant army supply, 85 army supply against 30. Is going to be able to kill off the remaining forces here of GunGFuBanDa.
I can't believe this. There was almost no more ghost. All GunGFuBanDa had to do was pull back, whop in a ton of Archons, and then fight this army. He might still be able to do it, but this was very bad a fight for him to take here with just his Immortals. He's whopping in. Look at how much gas he had. He's whopping in exclusively High Templars here right now. Is GunGFuBanDa.
So much gas, not enough minerals. He needs to try and get out something as quickly as possible. That Dark Templar at the back here, just cutting off some of the reinforcements extra. But GunGFuBanDa is really up against the ropes.
It's funny actually to whop in Dark Templars against this many orbitals, because Shana is even getting one more right now on the top right hand side here at that one base. But these ghosts are so important. If he can get a few EMPs.
Shana knows that this is the rest of his army that he has available to him. Feedbacks land on some of those ghosts and does have the vision of this, but at the same time 80 army supply against 40, as he will be able to kill off the cannons at the front and try and find the squishy innards here of the Protoss.
If Shana knew that there is no storm left, I think he'd just move into this base and try and finish it, because with upgraded units, the thing is, he can just go for that base as well to try and cut the economy of GunGFuBanDa, who's buying time very nicely right now. Those units,
Yeah.
they keep on steaming as well. Shana keeps over-steaming. He's only got 5 medivacs with no energy there.
If a storm lands on that whole army, it's just going to evaporate.
Yeah, and actually he's about to have a few storms there. 70 energy on most of the High Templars there.
Just buying time for them. Didn't even need to go for extra Archons from that Morphin.
Dark Templar in that base of Shana. The one main base that he had that flew there is going to get killed.
Okay. Well, still, this game continues on. Crazy
Yeah.
start to this series.
Colossus production is going to restart here with 2 on the way. It's funny because Shana has got quite a few Vikings left over, even though they're all landed right now. I think he might need to repair them. I think Shana's plan here is just to remake a bunch of medivacs, heal his entire army, and he's going to be, I guess, okay to wait further before going into another fight. To keep on suiciding the ZTs is really not cost effective anymore, I think, for GunGFuBanDa, because there is that many orbitals that I don't think he cares too much here, Shana.
Well, GunGfu technically has a supply advantage at the moment, but a lot of that is in workers. 92 armor supply against 70. But GunGFuBanDa had the economy to eventually start catching up, and we're seeing that in the army supplies now.
I can't believe he fought so early against it. He probably thought he had it. He misread the situation. There was still enough ghost for this army of Shana to still be very scary.
Yeah.
If he had just pulled back, remade a ton of Archons, and then fought with his Immortals all alive, right now this game would be over. But now, GunGFuBanDa is still in a bit of danger. He's got a lot of Archons though against almost no ghosts.
He only had to pick up the Vikings as well, and he wasn't exactly ready for these Colossi to appear, so he did lose 1 or 2 of them at the front there. And even another one goes down to a storm. A second one, oh my god, that was on just the very edge.
And remember, there is no planetary fortress up that ramp, so I think GunGFuBanDa, fully knowing that he cannot give any time to Shana, is going to be attacking here with too many Archons, Colossus, and High Templars.
The storms land. The storms hit. One to the right-hand side, one to the middle. There you go. GG. Game number 1 goes to GunGFuBanDa after a crazy game here in game number 1.
That was insane. He attacked properly here at the end. I was really worried he might just sit back, let Shana remass and max out on ghosts, and then be in trouble, but he fully identified that he could remake Archons way too fast for Shana to keep up in the ghost count, and then he attacked and finished it.
Good killer instinct there for GunGFuBanDa in the end. Crazy game. So much aggression from Shana in the early stages, and I can only imagine that in the Chinese scene, a lot of the Protoss falter in that phase of the game against that kind of aggression. GunGFuBanDa, though, able to be on lockdown. That was equally as impressive stuff later on when he'd been able to separate up his army properly. And now, he is 1 game away from having on against Little Bo. But Shana, already impressing people, I would say, at the start of this. Already impressing people. As
He doesn't look too happy, I'm not sure. Yeah. After a game like this, you definitely can not be necessarily too happy, because he was very intense, he was very hard fought, and in the end he came out just a little bit short to being able to win against GunGFuBanDa. I think a few more medivacs, a few more ghosts, and even like after he killed that entire immortal count, if you supposedly, if you move in the perfect position to finish it, you might be able to, but he kind of like hesitated, and also like remember, he cannot see the entire map, so it's very hard for him to know where to actually like properly attack. Like he went for the robos and killed that. After that, I do think there was maybe a slight chance he could have moved in and try and finish it. But his low medivac count really played a bad joke on him, because he ended up having a lot of army low on hit points that he couldn't heal.
Yeah. It was interesting, very interesting. But now we are going to go to a short break, guys, and when we are back, it will be game number 2 between GunGFuBanDa and, of course, Shana here for the World Championship Series. Welcome back to the World Championship Series here as GunGFuBanDa is able to battle back against quite the wild Shana in game number 1. And now we move on to Iron Fortress, Todd. A map that, well, was already alluded to by Bling on our analysis desk as not his particularly favorite one as a Protoss player.
Yeah. It took some time to go into it. It took Apollo to ask why for Bling to actually properly elaborate. But yeah, I can only agree with him as a fellow Protoss player because taking a third base on this map and being able to properly secure it is going to be really tough. And it seems like GunGFuBanDa doesn't seem to like the Phoenix goal, you know? To go for a few Phoenixes and make sure that you can defend. And remember, Shana is from China. Jim is from China. Jim is the king of those Phoenixes Colossus style. Surely he's going to have plenty of experience against it.
Yes, he shall. Let's get into game number 2 then between GunGFuBanDa and Shana. Shana, no doubt, will be looking for an aggressive maneuver again here against GunGFuBanDa. Try and catch him off guard. Try and shut him down early. As we are spawning up to the top left, it is our blue Protoss. Representing Planet Key Dynamics, it is GunGFuBanDa. And down to the bottom right-hand corner, our red Terran representing X-Team, it is Shana.
That's a great team name.
X-Team. It's kind of what you guys were doing for the Intel Extreme Masters Season X. Perfectly in tune.
That was for 10 KLRs.
Yeah, I know.
So it's totally unrelated.
It's an X in Roman numerals. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh, God.
You never know.
Let's see if Shana opens the same way here with the barracks on 12, gas 12, and very quick scout, because that was an earlier scout than you usually see from Terrence in the previous game. Wanted to make sure he knew what he's gonna go up against. And in this case, nothing starts, so it looks like a command center first. Gonna be mixing it up a little bit. GunGFuBanDa, on the other hand, gonna be scouting pretty quickly here after his assimilator started.
Is there anything here as a Protoss you can do against something like a command center first if you notice it early, or do you have
You mean
to...
aggressively or in general?
Aggressively, I would
Aggressively, usually you can chrono boost 1 Zealot, and what will happen with it is that you will stop mining gas and you will start a Nexus faster as well. Which is, I guess, the standard. But yeah, aggressively, I think 1 Zealot is like the most you can commit to. Otherwise, you can try something like Stalker or even Double Stalker plus Mothership Core. But against a Terran that scouts and that will see it, usually, almost no matter what, they will be able to get a bunker up.
Yeah. One thing's for sure, though, here is that Shana still really wants to keep eyes on his opponent. Throws out this SCV scout himself to try and spot what's going to go on in GunGFuBanDa's base. Doesn't want to be hit by anything too crazy.
Where is he going?
Patience.
Oh, it's just a path thing. Okay. There is a chance, actually, that GunGFuBanDa might scout this before he starts the Nexus, in which case there is a chance he might not cancel the Zealot. But usually you always cancel and then start the Nexus and then later on make more core. But no, he's hiding the probe. For some reason. Maybe oh, he was trying to dodge a Reaper. A Reaper timing would have just like gone by.
Skirted past.
Yeah, here just now, so he was trying to dodge that. And in this case, he's going to be able to see exactly what's up here. Missed the command center, but upon seeing these barracks here,
he knows what's up.
he's gonna confirm the command center and know exactly where he's at here. It's GunGFuBanDa.
Yeah, heading on down, having a look around. We'll be knowing what's going on. Likewise, Shana has been able to scout out pretty much everything at the site. Well, yeah, he must have. Well, he may have seen that the probe was heading up to that second gas, but you're expecting it here at this point here as Shana.
Third barracks here, very standard by him. Made sure to start his double orbital pretty quickly before that. And it's going to be just a lot of Marines here for now, whereas GunGFuBanDa, he has a real opportunity here to pick exactly what he wants to go into. I really like that pylon that he made actually on the left-hand side of his base, because he can start some, even the one on the right-hand side as well that Funka just pointed out, because he can start like whatever he was going to make or what tech in that corner, on top or even below. And usually that's going to be outside of scan range. In this case, I'm actually worried that it's inside of scan range, but... With this probe hidden on the map, I'm wondering if he wants to maybe get a Dark Shrine on the map, but this really hasn't started anything just yet, so maybe it's just a probe hidden on the map for a Blink Stalker's attack later on to get a pylon.
It couldn't even put a Dark Shrine in his main base if he wanted to as well.
Yeah, usually like if you... Oh, he starts a pylon. That doesn't line up very well with the Twilight, but not necessarily always the end of the world here for GunGFuBanDa.
Yeah, looks like he will be. I mean, he's
Yeah.
going to have the gas
Since
soon,
Blink
so-
doesn't start and he gets a sentry here.
Yeah. Huh. All right, GunGFuBanDa. Oh, there's Blink. That was a bit strange.
Yeah, maybe he changed his mind. He's going to get the gateways on the map. I think he's kind of hoping that Shana scans, sees that there is not many gateways and Blink on the way, and he's like, oh, it's probably like a quick third, or, you know, he's kind of teching or boosting his economy before going into a Blink attack. In which case, if you don't see this coming and you don't know how many gateways there are, you necessarily always be prepared properly to defend against this.
These Marines have got to be a little bit careful. They're sacrificing themselves off here for not much against those Stalkers.
They are being anything but careful right now. Okay?
Yeah.
They're being careless.
They are being careless. You are correct. That's 3 extra gateways down there for GunGfu.
Wouldn't be surprised if it's even more than that. And the second sentry was warped in at home. For GunGFuBanDa, photon of a charge is going to start. He needs the force field. Yeah, gets it.
All right.
Easy defense. Go home,
Few from
Marines.
the high ground.
You're drunk.
And they will waddle on home. Or not. They're looking for a mothership core, but that's never going to happen here. That is a lot of gateways. Uh-oh. Well, GunGFuBanDa, he's had enough of the shenanigans of game 1.
Yeah. Gonna be going up to 5 additional gateways, so 6 in total. And he's not messing about.
Where are these Marines going? Are they? Oh, okay, they're just heading off down towards there, and then we'll eventually loop on backwards.
Oh, you made one more gate as well. Oh, God.
That's so many gates. And a third
7
command center goes down for Shana.
7
Oh,
gates
no.
total. I think GunGFuBanDa, he realized that from last game, Shana likes to take a very quick third, and he wants to punish him here.
Yeah.
For it.
Yeah, this could work wonders here for GunGFuBanDa. He's going to set himself pylons up towards the front as well.
The starport starts so late. Because Shana already went for like command center first into 3 barracks, his medivac tech was always going to be late, but now he even delayed that more by going for a 3rd command center before starting his starport. So there is a chance he might just die here. Like, it's going to be really hard for Shana to properly hold this.
Doesn't see this sentry move out as well. He just sees 4 Stalkers at the front. That could easily just be a small poke out to keep Shana in check, but everything extra behind this is brutal and deadly here for Shana.
Stim pack finishes now. Usually it's a big tell that something's up when you see somebody move out like this, but I mean, combat shield didn't even start yet. Shana is about to be supply blocked here, by the way.
Uh-oh.
77 out of 78, got no depot on the way.
Well, he can't make anything.
That 3rd command center is about to finish though, but it's 10 seconds away, which is in Terran days or seconds. Very long ones. This army is going to be caught.
Force field's going to go down. The Guardian Shield's actually able to cover a lot of his army there, so he was soaking up some good damage. There's even a pylon towards the front here.
14 Stalkers against 5 Marauders and 9 Marines. No medivacs.
Yeah.
And a bunch of sentries as well. 4 Guardian Shield and force fields.
He could force field the ramp if he wanted to. He could do whatever he wants. This
It's
is
time for the 7 dance.
It's time to pull everything and hope. They're even going to just blink on forwards here against this army, and that is a big chunky kills off there.
Yeah, GunGFuBanDa is reinforcing with a lot of Stalkers here. Clearly he wants to finish it. He knows that Shana is going to struggle to defend this.
Here come the boys, but in a defensive posture at this point, because it's very difficult to hold off this amount of Stalkers as the Marauders up in the back go to work on all of this. But he doesn't even need to focus down the Marauders. He can kill off anything at the front. And it's a great trade here for GunGFuBanDa so far.
Yeah, he's got so many Stalkers, 23 in total against 6 Marines and 8 Marauders. Like, you can pull as many SCVs as you want against this. GunGFuBanDa is just going to be blinking back and doing really well.
Very easy stuff here for GunGFuBanDa in game number 2. It's as cut and dry as that, as these even going to focus down the Widow Mines to the high ground. GunGFuBanDa blinks on in victory, and that will be GG. Game number 2 goes to GunGFuBanDa, and he moves on to the winners match. Pretty succinctly there in game number 2.
Yeah, went for something bold. Here a 2-base timing with 7 gateways blink and catches Shana off guard, who clearly didn't see that coming, and going for that 3rd command center. He got punished for it this time around.
Yeah. Nice. Obviously, GunGFuBanDa hiding a little bit of that information, obviously down to the bottom left-hand corner with those buildings in that position. So, fortunately for Shana, not exactly the best spot. Even if you throw down scans, it's hard to kind of confirm that strategy and tactic.
Well, actually, if he had used the scan, he would have seen the exact amount of Stalkers and the sentries and would be like, okay, something's up.
If you see the units,
Might attack me. Like, usually, if you're moving out to just poke, you only send the Stalkers because they are very, they can blink back, they are going to be very safe. But yeah, seeing the sentries would have been a big tell, but not quite enough information. And this is what happens as well when you play a cross-region match against somebody like this, where you don't really know them and you kind of have to adjust on the fly.
Yeah.
And in this case, Shana, he just didn't anticipate this. Neither he saw it coming, and he paid the high price here for a quick third command center this time around.
Obviously, he's not down and out just yet, is Shana, as he will live to fight on another series. He will be going up against Neeb next, so we will get that opposing race switching dynamic going on in our next series. But for now, we shall head over to the analysis desk with Apollo and the chaps.
Thank you very much, Kalaris, joined here once again by Sam and Jared. And we see GunGFuBanDa move through to the winners match as we all kind of expected it to be, but Shana seems to be taking that one quite brutal on the stage there. What do you think's going through his mind?
I think after game one, he killed 45 workers. Like, that's a lot of workers, Sean. You're not really supposed to come back from that. And I think after he lost that game, I think he was definitely shooken up and threw him off his game for sure.
And then that map number 2 is just a brutal way to be kicked out down from the starting match there, Jared.
Yeah, taking a few economic risks, you know, and I played right into GunGFu's hand. GunGFu had a plan for that map. He knew what he wanted to do, and you throw away 8 or 9 Marines, and then you try to take a fast third command center. It turns out to be a sneaky blink all in like that. It's just one of those things where you know you've chosen probably the worst possible build for that situation, and to some extent it's just luck of the draw. You know, GunGFu hit the information perfectly, so it can be a little bit tilting, but I think we saw after game 1 as well, he had the same sort of reaction. I think it's maybe his own way of just kind of calming himself down, processing what happened, and trying to reset, get back to 0.
Well, he definitely needs to do that because he will be playing straight away now against Neeb as soon as we come back from the little break that we give the players. But it's funny to think back to the map vetoes and the selection protest thing. And map number 2 stands out here, and then the way that GunGFuBanDa knows exactly what he's doing there, and he executes it and does deliver.
Yeah, and that's kind of what was a bit confusing for me from Shana's point of view, because I feel like doing the greediest possible build that you can do on a map that isn't really going to play out in a standard way usually, it's just a bit questionable for me. So I guess it went the way that it should have went for GunGFu's point of view.
Yeah.
The all-in he chose was a good all-in. It worked well, and yeah, just a bit too greedy from Shana.
All right, well, how do you address GunGFuBanDa's form today? Is he looking good for you compared to normal? Is he playing as expected?
I think game 1 was a little bit shaky. The start was definitely a little bit shaky. He didn't need to take as much damage as he did in the initial early stages of that game, but he did kind of recompose himself. He did bring it back together, and he did end up winning a pretty close macro game, but it was a solid macro game, and he did end up winning. So game 2, the execution was pretty much flawless. A little bit of a greedy play, like I said, from Shana, but the execution was there. So I think getting the win that he that he kind of was supposed to get and needed to get is kind of going to be a confidence boost. So I think going into the Lilbo series, he'll definitely be confident.
What was the biggest decider? If you were to break these two very simply, the difference between the two of them there on stage was just, what was it? I mean, we talked a little bit about Shana and the way that he wasn't playing to the way that you thought he could or should be at this level. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, it was interesting. I think, there's a bit of misexecution at the crucial moments in terms of the multi-prong. And there's a lot to do as a Terran player there. And there's that moment, 30, 40 probes were down. He was coming in from every angle, and it looked like GunGFu was about to drown. And then suddenly drops started landing kind of in tight, cramped spots between buildings with Colossus already shooting them. And a few drops started going down. Widowmine started kind of walking up and just getting focused down. And I feel like maybe at that crucial moment, he just needed to clamp it up and tighten up his mechanics. But we were talking, it's always that first game on stage. You're a bit nervous, you're both a bit excited. And I think the crucial moment was in that desperate spot that GunGFu was in. He kept his mechanics together, he kept his cool together, and he somehow managed to stabilize where really he had to keep playing very, very well to put any pressure back on Shana. And it was actually Shana who I think made the mistakes, even though he had the easier position there.
Looking at, we've seen every single player now play today in Group E. You say that Shannon's going to have a difficult time crawling back up from the lower bracket to compete in the decider match, and if he does get there, even more trouble?
Oh, I think so. Of course, he will be going up against Neeb, though, and we'll talk more about it later, but it is Neeb's weaker matchup, whereas Shana feels it's more of his specialty. So I think he's still got a chance of making it through to that final qualifying match in the lower bracket, but it's going to be a long road. Whenever you lose that first match, you don't have you can't take as many risks with your play. You got to make sure every single win counts. These are best of threes, just 2 losses in a row and you're out. So it's going to be a hard track for him.
Well, predictions on spot so far, boys. Looking good, and we'll continue continue, hopefully, throughout the day here. 100% so far. No, if it's both 200%. I mean, you got first and second right.
Yeah, I did.
You said 2-0.
I did say
right?
2-0.
Yeah, right.
So he's nailing it, man.
Yeah, that first game, I thought I had that one.
You know what? I was a bit scared, obviously, after how things went. And we were upstairs, we were talking about it. It's like, oh, didn't you say that he was going to win 2-0? I was like, I still think he's going to win 2-0, man.
He did. And he did. You're
He did.
delivering today, mate. You're delivering. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We are going to head to that break. But before that, do make sure to check out social media. Of course, it's always just facebook.com/ESL and also the same for YouTube. We have uploaded every single WCS game on all the playlists. Just go to the YouTube channel, check out the playlist. And of course, Twitter is #WCS. When we come back, it's time, unfortunately, to lose one of our players in the lower bracket.